After my family went bankrupt, as a down and out young lady, I found Leo, a delinquent mechanic who I had humiliated before. Can you sponsor me to go to college? The unruly man was holding a cigarette, squinting and looking me up and down, teasingly saying, Yvonne, my money is only spent on my wife. I gritted my teeth. Then I'll be your wife. I dragged my suitcase and searched from day to night. Finally, I found Leo in a certain repair shop. He was wearing a black vest and black pants. His face under the baseball cap had a tough outline and deep features. It was a very aggressive look. At this time, he was holding a wrench and was concentrating on inspecting the sports car with its hood open in front of him. Leo. Everyone in the repair shop looked over. What's the situation? The little fairy came to the repair shop. She's still a distressed little fairy. Brother Lai. Did you provoke her? After a bumpy journey, I took the wrong road. I was splashed with water by a passing car on the side of the road and accidentally fell into a sewage ditch. Without looking in the mirror, I knew how embarrassed I was at this moment. Leo casually glanced over. There was a hint of surprise in his dark pupils. But he just glanced at me, and then withdrew his gaze as if he hadn't heard me. He took the wrench and continued to work. The people in the repair shop looked at me with even more meaningful gazes. My face was burning. I patiently called out again. Leo. I have something to talk to you about. Only then did Leo take off his gloves stained with black engine oil and slowly come over. His vest was soaked with sweat, outlining his strong, but not exaggerated chest muscles and well-defined abdominal muscles. A rough hormonal aura rushed towards me. What's up? His tone was cold, and there was even a hint of impatience. I was so smelly. I was also tired and hungry. I forcibly resisted the urge to turn around and leave. My family has gone bankrupt. There's no need to specially notify me. I tightened the toy turtle in my hand. Endure. Can I stay at your place for a while? To avoid being rejected too bluntly, I quickly added another sentence. The college entrance examination scores are out. I will go to college soon. It won't affect you for too long. Leo lowered his eyes and looked at me. It seemed as if he had heard some joke. There was a mocking and ironic look in his eyes. Didn't Yvonne say that even if I kneel down and beg you, you don't want to have any relationship with a delinquent like me? I had said that. At that time, I was full of arrogance and considered myself noble. I condescendingly wanted to criticize other people's lives. Now, I am in a downfall and begging for help. I only feel extremely ironic. I turned around and left. Whoever goes back is a dog. In the next second, I stood at the entrance of the repair shop under the sweltering air and remembered the tragic situation when my family went bankrupt. My father was imprisoned. My mother left me and went abroad with someone else. Relatives who used to fawn over us now avoided us like snakes and scorpions. Our family villa was sealed. There were also creditors coming to look for people. I didn't dare to go back at all, and had nowhere to go. I turned back. I'm sorry. Leo was leaning against a car and smoking. When he saw me coming back, his wild dark eyes unabashedly looked me up and down. Perhaps if you kneel down and beg me, I can consider taking you in. Such a naughty and bad scoundrel. I was so angry that my eyes were red. Just as I was about to say, that was absolutely impossible, I saw him stub out the cigarette and walk towards the back door of the repair shop. Aren't you coming? Waiting for me to carry you? No need for me to kneel? So I can stay just like this? I quickly dragged my suitcase and followed. Turning around and crossing a street, there was an urban village. Leo's rental house was here. The urban village was quite old. The walls were mottled. The wires were messy. Small advertisements could be seen everywhere. There were also water stains and discarded cigarette butts on the ground. Before my father went in, he told me that the Shi family had taken a large sum of money from our family. How could they live here? Look down on it. Leo turned to look at me. There was a playful look in his eyes. No. It's just a bit unaccustomed. He sneered. I don't know if he believed me. He opened the door. You can sleep anywhere you want. Don't touch the things in the house. When I saw the layout of one bedroom, one living room, one kitchen and one bathroom, I turned around to call him. Leo went downstairs. No, there was only one room. Where would I sleep? Anyway, I was too dirty. I took a bath and changed into clean clothes. After hesitating for a while, I didn't use the washing machine in the bathroom. I took a basin. There was no laundry detergent. Only washing powder. I reached out and took it down from the shelf. Something else fell down along with it. I picked it up and took a look. It was a gray pair of underwear. At the same time, the door creaked open. Leo came back and stood at the bathroom door, looking at me. His gaze fell on my hand. His expression was subtle. I hurriedly explained, I was going to wash it. Leo's face instantly darkened. Don't touch my things randomly. Leo threw away his underwear. He threw it into the trash can in front of me. It was almost as if he had disdain for me written all over his face. I held back my anger and wished I could cut off my hand. But since I was staying at his place, I endured it. Where will I sleep? Leo pointed with his chin. I widened my eyes. Just this small double sofa? I want to sleep on the bed. Then sleep with me? Leo. I gritted my teeth. He was truly an unadulterated scoundrel. If Yvonne can't get used to it, you can leave. I'll sleep on the sofa then. Tidy yourself up and come downstairs. Leo answered a phone call. It should be someone from the repair shop calling him to go over for a meal. I was so hungry that my chest was sticking to my back. I didn't have the mood to tidy up. I washed my hands 3 times and closed the door and went downstairs. When I entered, there was a barbecue table set up in the repair shop. There were various vegetables and meats on the table, as well as a dozen bottles of chilled beer and a large. Several people were sitting around the table, sweating while grilling meat. The meat was sizzling and emitting a delicious smell that filled the entire yard. Sister, sit down quickly. Let's eat together. A fat man brought over a plastic stool. There was a little dust on the stool. When I was at home, my mother never allowed me to eat barbecue outside. She said it was unhygienic. Brother lie. Sister is shy. Hurry up and ask her to sit down and eat. Leo took a sip of wine. As if seeing through my thoughts, a faint hint of mockery appeared in his eyes. Think it's dirty? There's no fancy restaurant here. Eat if you want. Don't eat if you don't want. I finally found some paper. I took 2 pieces and wiped the stool clean. I resisted the urge to fight with him. I don't. After saying that, I picked up my chopsticks and took a piece of meat and put it in my mouth. That one is burnt. No, sister. How long have you been hungry? I haven't eaten for 2 days. I answered vaguely. Can I have a piece of melon? All the family assets were frozen. The secondary card that my father gave me couldn't be used either. I was penniless and couldn't even afford a bottle of water. After eating and drinking my fill, I felt alive again. Only then did I realize that I had eaten half of all the meat and vegetables on the table by myself. I was a little embarrassed. You all didn't eat your fill, right? We are full. Brother Lai didn't eat much. Brother Lai. You should introduce her. How did you two meet? Leo had a cigarette between his fingers. His eyes fell on me with a half smile as he asked in return. Yvonne. How did we meet? Surname Wen? Wait a minute. Brother Lai. Is it that Yvonne who can't tell right from wrong and has her eyes on top of her head? I remember she also made you lose a deal before and made you. Yvonne. Leo interrupted the fat man. Yvonne. 4 on the way back. I cursed Leo from head to toe. He was the jerk. His whole family was jerks. Neither of us spoke from the repair shop to the rental house. As soon as we got home, Leo entered his own room. I didn't know what he was doing. After eating and drinking my fill, the tiredness in my body was brought out. I kept yawning as I leaned on the sofa. When I was almost asleep, the door opened. I was startled awake. I saw Leo enter the bathroom. Soon, there was the sound of running water coming from inside. I was completely awake. I sat stiffly for a while. My phone rang. I looked down and my eyes were red. I didn't answer it. The ringing lasted for 45 seconds, and then automatically hung up. The other party continued to call. When it was the third call, I got up and went to the door to answer it. Yvonne, I know everything about your family. Where are you now? Are you okay? I sent you many messages but you didn't reply. I'm very worried about you. Can I go find you? No need. I'm fine now. Do you have a place to stay? Do you have any money on you? I transferred some money to you. Did you see it? I also bought a lot of things. Give me an address and I'll send them to you. Peter, don't call me anymore. The other party's breathing stopped for a moment. You are still angry, right? Tina and I are really not in that kind of relationship. If it's not that kind of relationship, can you kiss? If it's not that kind of relationship, can you apply to the same university together? I forcibly held back my tears. You don't need to explain to me. We were just ordinary friends anyway. Ordinary friends who were almost boyfriend and girlfriend. I hung up. No matter how many times the other party called, I didn't answer. I turned around and walked inside. Leo didn't know when he had finished taking a shower and came out. Boyfriend? The teenager spoke. It was hard to tell if it was sarcasm or teasing. Good taste. It took so many days for him to look for you. I didn't think so just now. At this moment, being provoked by Leo's sarcastic words, and thinking of the cold stares and his unfriendlinesses along the way, my emotions surged up. What's it to you? Leo didn't speak. He stared at me coldly. Do you think you are a good person? Leo sneered. I'm not a good person. Didn't you know that on the first day? 5. I didn't want to cry. But it was so frustrating. The fear, uneasiness and grievance that had accumulated these days seemed to find an outlet and all burst out at once. If you hate me so much, why did you take me in? Leo seemed to have not expected me to cry. He was stunned for a moment. There was actually a rare hint of helplessness on that careless face. Don't cry. I didn't want to either. But tears kept falling down and couldn't be stopped. Don't you also hate me? Am I crying? Is that what you say? All right. Leo had a headache from my crying. His brows were tightly furrowed. I'll give you the bed. I'll sleep on the sofa. Really? I immediately stopped crying and wiped away my tears. You said it yourself. I was afraid that Leo would go back on his word. I immediately pushed my suitcase into the bedroom. Leo's bedroom wasn't big. It was fairly clean and tidy. There was also no unpleasant smell. But this bed. Do you have a new sheet and quilt cover? Leo laughed. No. Does the young lady still want to sleep? Sleep. Look down on me. It's not like sleeping with you. What am I afraid of? As a result, I had insomnia. The quilt was full of Leo's scent. Very similar to the smell on his body. It wasn't unpleasant, but it always made me think about what Leo would look like sleeping on the bed. Would his undulating muscles rub against the quilt? His blood-pumping abdominal muscles under that black vest must have had close contact with the quilt. Right? What if he had the habit of sleeping naked? My face flushed and I jumped up in a startle. Hesitately. I opened the door and quietly poked out my head. The living room was not lit. Leo's phone screen was on, illuminating his clear facial features. He was nestled on the sofa, looking lazy and a bit decadent. Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? What are you up to? Since I was caught, I didn't pretend anymore and went out openly. I'm a bit fussy about beds. Fussy about beds or disgusted? Young lady. Make it clear. I was speechless. Considering that he gave me the bed, I generously didn't argue with him. Living under the same roof. Can we talk nicely? Leo lowered his eyes and glanced at me, giving me an expression that said, didn't I talk nicely to you? I pulled a stool and sat over. Just in time. I had another thing to ask him. My college entrance examination scores are out. 658. Awesome. Right. But you know, my family has gone bankrupt. I don't have a penny now. Leo's gaze fell on me. So you want me to support you through college? I widened my eyes. How could I let you support me? Besides, you don't have much money. I can't take yours for nothing either. Well, can you sponsor me to go to college? Leo let out a huh. In the dark night, his fingers fiddled with the lighter, and an orange flame sprang up. The choking smell of tobacco came. Leo was holding a cigarette and squinting as he looked me up and down. I also felt that this was absurd and hard to say. But what could I do? I asked about summer jobs. 2,000 yuan a month is not even enough for a dress I used to buy. Even if it's barely enough for living expenses. What about tuition fees? Where can I find them? Consider it as I borrowed from you. I will pay you back. Leo didn't speak and stared at me directly. His eyebrows were sharp and deep. I felt uncomfortable being looked at by him. Otherwise, I'll go get paper and pen right now and write you an IOU. Sorry. Leo slowly said. Yvonne. My money is only spent on my wife. Damn it. Look at his provoking eyes. Leo definitely did it on purpose. He was still holding a grudge against me for humiliating him before. I gritted my teeth again and again. Then I'll be your wife. 6. The living room was so quiet that only our breathing sounds remained. And Leo's eyes on me. With indistinguishable emotions. I regretted it. What did I say? I awkwardly looked away and got up to sneak away. My wrist was grabbed by him. Stop thinking about it. Yvonne. I'm not interested in you. A careless dome. As if I had to stick to him. I felt embarrassed and shook off his hand. As if I'm interested in you. I just said it casually. The person I like is 1,000 times better than you. Leo laughed. That's good. For some reason. After saying this, the temperature in the living room cooled down a lot. Even Leo's face showed a bit of impatience. Not caring about so much. I hurried back to my room. I didn't sleep all night. When I woke up the next day, Leo had already gone to the repair shop. There was warm millet porridge and steamed buns in the kitchen. Half left. The refrigerator was filled with vegetables and fruits. As I stuffed buns into my mouth, I thought that Leo was quite domestic. After eating and drinking my fill, I went out for a walk. I didn't find a summer job. They all wanted long-term ones and didn't want temporary ones like me. When I came back and passed by the repair shop, I went in. Looking around and not seeing Leo, I asked the fat man, where is he? Brother Lai? He went to get supplies. He should be back soon. If you are bored, there is a lounge over there. There is a computer inside. You can go in and watch movies. Do you know where I can find a short-term part-time job? I thought that since they had been here for a long time, they must know more than me. The fat man wiped his sweat. You are short of money? If you are short of money, borrow from Brother Lai. We all borrow from him when we are short of money. Brother Lai is generous and... Before I could finish saying that he was only generous to you all, I saw the fat man look behind me and wave. Brother Lai. You are back. Sister Wen is short of money and looking for a summer job. Summer jobs are not for humans. Lend her some money. Leo looked at me with very indifferent eyes. I secretly thought that I could be caught by him like this. Leo must think that I didn't borrow it last night, and today I'm asking his brother to help me ask in a different way. He must be laughing at me secretly. No need. How much do you need? 7. Leo gave me a card. There were fully 30,000 yuan in it. I stared at the card blankly and didn't take it. Was Leo possessed after going out? Or was his head kicked by a donkey? Why was he suddenly so generous and willing to lend me money? Don't you want it? Yes. 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 I took it and put it in my pocket. Let's make it clear in advance. I can't pay you back so soon. Leo didn't pay attention to me and walked towards the lounge. I followed him. I'll write you an IOU and pay interest according to the bank. Before I finished speaking, the person in front of me suddenly stopped. I bumped into him straight on. It was hard. I looked up and was about to speak when I saw the person in front of me take off his t-shirt. His upper body was naked. His abdominal muscles had smooth lines. The perfect mermaid line along his abdomen disappeared into the depth. Realizing what I had bumped into belatedly, I unconsciously raised my hand and rubbed my forehead. Didn't see enough? Leo's voice was hoarse and his eyes were playful. Young lady, I'm going to take off my pants to take a bath. Do you want to come in and watch? I was stunned. My face flushed all the way to my neck. Not willing to be teased by him every time, I pretended to be calm and looked him up and down with contempt and said, "Take it off. It's obviously a big tree with peppers hanging on it. What's there to see?" Leo's eyes instantly darkened. There was a dangerous glint in his narrowed eyes. A big tree with peppers hanging on it? After saying that, his long and slender fingers held the waistband on both sides and pulled down hard. "You rogue," Leo sneered. "Don't come in here randomly from now on." I hurriedly ran out. I stayed in the repair shop for most of the day and basically got familiar with everyone. There weren't many people in the repair shop, including Leo. There were only 4. Fatty, 13, and Big Mao. Well, people like us are different from you. We have poor grades and can't get into college. We have no other way out. Repairing cars is also good. At least we have a skill and can support ourselves. I shook my head. I can't even support myself. Don't be too discouraged, Sister Wen. Your family has gone bankrupt. But at least you can still go to college. No one can tell what will happen in the future. If you are really sad, let's have a hot pot for dinner. In the morning, Big Mao brought a lot of vegetables from home and put them in the refrigerator. Then I'll go wash the vegetables. After washing the vegetables and coming back, a snow-white Pomeranian rushed towards me. I put the vegetables on the table and squatted down to pick it up. "Little cutie. Whose dog are you?" "Cola. Come to mommy." When the Pomeranian heard the call, it jumped out of my arms. At the door of the lounge, a tall girl wearing cool clothes was holding the Pomeranian and staring at me unkindly. "Let's go find Daddy." After saying that, she withdrew her gaze. Familiarly pushed open the lounge door and went in. Then closed it. A Thai wasn't allowed to enter. But this girl could enter freely. Just in time, the fat man took out the hot pot base and saw it too. "Sister Xiaoyu is here. Do you all know her?" "Yes. She often comes here." I was silent for a moment. "Is she also very familiar with Leo?" "Yes. Very familiar. Brother Lai is also very special to her." After the fat man finished speaking, he realized something and looked at me. "But they are not boyfriend and girlfriend. By the way, her name is Rainy. You can just call her Sister Xiaoyu. It's just not made public yet." Leo and the girl came out soon. The girl was teasing the dog while talking to Leo about some matters of the repair shop as he was tittying up things. I didn't say a word beside them. I didn't understand the matters of the repair shop, and didn't have the mood to interject. I seemed even more redundant. So I simply walked away silently. During the meal, the fat man said that the business of the repair shop had been good these days and suggested having a drink. "Sister Wen, can you drink?" "Actually, I can't. My mother is very strict and doesn't allow me to touch alcohol at all. Even when I was rebellious before and went 2 bars with Peter in them. I never drank. But everyone was drinking. If I didn't drink, it would be a disappointment. Moreover, I am an adult now. I also want to try it. I won't drink much. I can rink." Just as I reached out, a hand took my beer first and pressed it on the table in front of him. "Drink this." Leo pushed over a bottle of ice-cold cola. "Yvonne, you are not used to our kind of beer. Drink some beverage." After Rainy finished speaking, she opened the beer bottle in front of her and handed it to Leo. "A lie. Drink this." Leo frowned slightly. He handed the open beer bottle back to Rainey and opened another one himself. Drink if you want. But don't drink too much. We still have to work tomorrow. They were familiar and natural. For some reason, a subtle emotion rose in my heart. Leo didn't let me drink. No one dared to give me alcohol. I felt aggrieved but had nowhere to vent. During the whole meal, I didn't say much and just ate quietly. After the meal, it was already 12 o'clock. The fat man and the others were okay. They drank a lot but weren't drunk. But Rainey had drunk a lot. Her hazy eyes never left Leo. I'll lie. I have something to say to you. Send me back. Leo glanced at me. Fatty. Send her back. No need. It's just a few steps away. Leo opened his mouth as if to say something but didn't say it in the end. He just gave the fat man a look. The fat man understood. Don't worry. Brother Lai. I will make sure to send sister when home safely. When I got home, I closed the door. I went into the bedroom, took a nightgun and went into the bathroom. An hour later, when I came out after taking a bath and saw Leo leaning on the sofa, I paused and was surprised. Why are you back? 9 alone. A man and a woman. In the middle of the night. The atmosphere had come to this point. Wouldn't the two of them go out and spend the night together? Leo glanced at me and said inferently, "Can't I come back?" After saying that, his gaze fell on me and his eyes instantly darkened. I looked down and hurriedly ran into the bedroom and found a coat and put it on. It was hot. I thought he wasn't there. I was wearing a very cool strappy dress. Before, I was always conservatively dressed to cover my calves. When I came out again, Leo had a cigarette between his fingers. I found it choking. Can you put it out? You are quite bossy. His tone was not friendly. But he did put out the cigarette. Aren't you going to sleep? I have something to tell you. I thought for a moment. I want to rent a small single room nearby and live by myself. Leo's calm eyes showed a hint of ripple. Do you have too much money and don't know what to do with it? I was speechless. Isn't it because it's not good for a man and a woman to live together like this? Leo chuckled twice. Why didn't you think it was bad at the beginning? I think you slept on my bed very naturally. I think it's more natural for you to talk and laugh with other girls. After saying that, when I met Leo's inquisitive eyes, I suddenly felt a trace of panic. I didn't know before. If I knew you had a girlfriend, I wouldn't live here. Who told you I had a girlfriend? After Leo finished speaking, he paused for a moment. What nonsense did Fatty and them tell you? It has nothing to do with them. Anyone with eyes can see it. Leo seemed to be in a much better mood all of a sudden. Then you are quite blind. She's not my girlfriend. Live here at ease. All right. I tugged at my coat and turned around to go back to my room. When I entered, Leo suddenly called out to me, Yvonne? Huh? Come to work at the repair shop tomorrow to pay for room and board. 10 I went to work at the repair shop. It's not a very tiring job. Cleaning, organizing materials, doing accounts, helping to organize the orders clearly, and making tea and receiving guests when people come. Early in the morning, Leo showed up for a while. By lunchtime, he was nowhere to be seen. It seemed that Fatty and the others were used to this. It wasn't until the afternoon that Leo came back. He had a very bad expression. He was full of anger. There was a bruise on the corner of his mouth. His hands were covered in blood. But he was wearing a coat, so the specific injury couldn't be seen. Fatty and the others' expressions changed greatly. Brother Lai. How did you get like this? Leo had a cold face. He opened the door of the lounge and walked in without saying a word. When I was about to follow, I was held back by Fatty. Don't go. Brother Lai will get angry if you go in at this time. But he's injured. I don't know how badly he is injured. He is my benefactor. Although we don't like each other. Objectively speaking, he took me in and lent me money to go to college. I don't want anything to happen to him. After saying that, I ignored their obstruction and followed in. There was a faint smell of blood in the lounge. Get out. A cold rebuke fell on me head-on. With impatience and annoyance. The words on the tip of my tongue were swallowed. When Leo saw that it was me, he seemed a little surprised. His expression softened a bit and his tone was still cold. Did you forget what I said last time? Last time. Right here. Leo clearly told me. Don't come in here randomly from now on. I've already come in. Otherwise, you can throw me out. Anyway, I'm not afraid of him. I want to see how badly you are injured. I found the medicine box. The things inside were not complete, but at least they could be used somehow. But his clothes were too much in the way. After looking at it for a long time, I couldn't figure out what was going on. Can you take it off? Brother Lai. Leo's eyelids twitched heavily. His eyes darkened to the extreme. Don't shout randomly. Yes. Brother Lai. Taking off the black coat revealed Leo's undulating muscle lines. And that shocking scratch. Fortunately, it wasn't too deep. Bear with it. I'm not very good at applying medicine to people. As soon as I finished speaking, Leo sucked in a breath and gritted his teeth. Devon. I was greatly startled. The cotton swab pressed heavily on Leo's wound. What's wrong? In the next second, my wrist was grabbed and pulled away from the wound. Leo was so angry that he laughed. His face was a little pale, returning kindness with enmity. I could see how painful it was and felt very guilty. I'm sorry. I'll be lighter. Bear with it. It'll be over soon. Don't be so resistant to me. Don't shout either. Obey me a bit. Then I'll be more steady. My movements were as slow as slow motion. I cleaned his wound and applied medicine. When bandaging it, I very kindly tied a bow. Done. I looked up at him. When I first met Leo, I knew this person was good-looking. But he was full of anger and had a bad temper. People couldn't appreciate him well. Now being so close, everything was visualized. For example, the clear and sexy Adam's apple. For example, the slightly flushed lips. And, just like in the bedroom, that faint, elusive fragrance. Yvonne. I deliberately lowered. Hoarse voice. Accompanied by the regular rolling of the Adam's apple. I suddenly felt my heart go numb. This was the second time he called me by my full name. It seemed to be no different. But it also seemed that everything was different. As if being lured. I reached out and touched it involuntarily. When I was about to touch his Adam's apple, a voice came from outside the lounge. Eli. I heard you were injured. How badly are you injured? 11. I and Leo went out one after the other. When Rainey saw me, the worry and smile on her face froze. Why are you inside? I smiled and didn't answer, leaving space for the two of them. Eli. I came as soon as I heard. Why are they like that? How badly are you injured? I didn't listen carefully to the rest of her words. I went to ask Fatty about the situation. Does Leo often fight with people? Which boy doesn't fight? But he fought more when he was in school. Now it's very rare. Then why did he fight with people today? That's still because of his dad. Halfway through his words, Fatty suddenly stopped. Sister don't try to get information from me. I've seen his dad. He's a very kind person. His repair skills are also good. If I remember correctly, he should have been in the repair department of the Force store before. But I haven't seen Uncle Shi come to the repair shops since I've been here for so long. Isn't he here? Is he not around? Fatty looked at the door of the lounge and lowered his voice. Brother Lai hates others mentioning his dad the most. In front of him. Don't ask about it. If I insist on asking, will Leo beat me to death? Fatty was stunned for 3 full seconds and gave a thumbs up. Before, I thought he would. Now, he gave an ambiguous look at Leo not far away and chuckled. Who knows? I frowned. Why are you smiling so wickedly? After I finished asking, Rainey was just about to leave with her Pomeranian in her arms. When she went out, She glared at me hatefully. I put my hands on my hips and glared back unceremoniously. And the person who caused all this was lying leisurely on the lounge chair at the door of the lounge. I kicked the chair leg. Want to go shopping? Leo opened his eyes. Not interested. Okay. Just for 2 hours. Let's go now. I just need to buy some things. Leo gave a cold smile. Yvonne. Are you encouraging your boss to skip work? Let's go quickly while the sun isn't too strong. Leo still went to the mall with me. I brought several sets of clothes from home. They were barely enough to wear. But I don't know if I've gained weight. My underwear is a bit tight. I need to buy some more. Of course. With Leo around, I was embarrassed to go directly into the underwear store. I pretended to go to the neighboring clothing store. I never looked at the price before and didn't think it was expensive. At this moment, after comparing several stores and thinking about the balance in my bank card, I turned to look at the man beside me. Do you know where I can buy cheap clothes nearby? Like night markets or something. Leo glanced at me and took out his wallet and stuffed it into my hand. I'm too lazy to walk. Just buy it here. Work to pay me back. You are like my real dad. I ran a few steps and then came back. Well, there's a milk tea shop over there. Why don't you sit there and wait for me? Leo looked behind me. His eyes moved slightly. He took out his phone. Add a contact. I'm afraid you'll run away with the money. No problem. I scanned the code and added him as a friend. We also saved each other's phone numbers. Then I went into the underwear store. When I came out after choosing, Leo was waiting for me with 2 cups of milk tea. I inserted the straw and took a small sip. Just as I was about to speak, I saw 3 girls sitting next to us. I knew them. They were my classmates. Since my family had an accident, I instinctively cut off contact with my former classmates and didn't chat in the class group anymore. Whether it was escaping or being afraid, I always didn't want to face it. I subconsciously wanted to leave. But then their discussions came. I heard that Yvonne did quite well in the exam. If her family hadn't had an accident, she should be preparing to study abroad by now. How could she stay in the country and go to an ordinary first-tier university? She deserves it. In the past, relying on her family's good conditions, she was high and mighty. She was very proud at school and ignored people. Her father was imprisoned. Her mother abandoned her. Now she is even worse than us. See how she can still be proud. Do you think she will come to the class reunion? If it were me, I definitely wouldn't go. Her family went bankrupt. Her boyfriend was also snatched away. Such a shameful thing. She would hide if she could. My face turned pale inch by inch. If it were before, I would definitely have gone up to argue. But at this moment, I just lowered my eyes and didn't say a word. After a while, I lowered my voice and spoke very softly to Leo. Let's go. Don't you want to splash them? I shook my head. As I got up, my wrist was grabbed by Leo. His eyes were fixed on me. Yvonne, what are you afraid of? I'm here. 12 when? Yvonne? The people at the next table also saw us. They were full of shock. What a coincidence to meet you here. Realizing that they were overheard talking behind people's backs, one of the girls smiled awkwardly. Don't misunderstand. We were just. Why are you afraid of her? Yvonne, will you come to the class reunion next week? Sorry. I'm not free. Peter and Tina will also go. Don't tell me you are afraid because they are together? My heart was stabbed hard. I took Leo's arm and smiled gracefully. How could it be? Coincidentally, I have a boyfriend. I also want to introduce him to everyone. You are lying, right? You found a new boyfriend so quickly? And he's so handsome? Of course. After saying that, I looked up at Leo nervously. I know you are very annoyed with me. But at this time, don't let go of my hand. Leo stared at me for a while. He took out my hand that was holding his arm. Just when I thought he wouldn't help me, his broad palm covered my waist and pulled me into his arms. I was completely stiff. Handsome guy. Are you really her boyfriend? Leo hooked his lips and looked down at me with a careless smile. If not hers, then yours? Let's go. After taking a few steps, he added another sentence. Look in the mirror when you have time. After all, this is the first time I've seen a toad commenting on humans. It's really ugly. After leaving the mall, Leo let go of me. Thank you today. Although I knew it was fake, I was actually a little flustered. I didn't even dare to look directly into his eyes. You are usually very bold. Why are you so cowardly today? Leo returned to his careless look again. Oh. You only dare to be tough with me. The embarrassing emotion that was not obvious just now was pointed out by him, and wrapped around me bit by bit. I remembered the unrestrained discussions about me in the class group. I remembered those people privately messaging me. Concerned, but actually schadenfreude. So I simply gave up. Yes. I am cowardly. I don't want to see them at all. Leo. Do you think you are a savior? Why do you meddle in my business? You don't know anything. Why do you make decisions for me? I'm just afraid. I just don't want to face it. Then what does it have to do with you? Suddenly, Leo lowered his head and blocked my lips. 13. I fled in a panic. Obviously, he was the one who took the initiative. He should be the one who is panicked and needs to explain. But I was so panicked. I didn't even go to the repair shop anymore. I rushed into the bathroom, took a shower, and drank a large glass of ice water. But the restlessness on my face didn't subside but increased instead. I simply buried myself in bed. But no matter how much I tossed and turned, I couldn't fall asleep. Fortunately, Leo didn't come back at night. Without having to face him, I was much more relaxed. But at night, I had a strange, chaotic, and absurd dream. And the object of the dream was still Leo. I hit the pillow a few times. My phone rang. It was a call from Fatty. Sister Wen. Come quickly. There are quite a lot of people at the repair shop today. We can't handle it. Right away. After I washed up, I gave myself a hint. Don't be cowardly. When I see Leo, give him a slap first. When I hurriedly arrived at the repair shop, there wasn't even half a customer. Only Leo was in the lounge. When our eyes met, there was a moment of silence in the air, filled with an awkward atmosphere. I looked around. Why aren't there any customers? They left. Oh. Aha. It's so embarrassing. After hesitating for a moment, I thought I should talk to him about what happened yesterday. Well, Yvonne, I responded. For the first time, I saw such a serious expression on Leo's face. What's wrong? He looked at me for a moment. You speak first. As for what happened yesterday, I know you must have seen my 3 classmates follow us out. Right? If you hadn't done that, I would have been exposed on the spot. Thank you. You are really a good person. Leo seemed a little speechless. I'm not. I know. I won't misunderstand. So about what happened yesterday. Let's just pretend nothing happened. Okay? I vaguely felt that Leo's mood was even worse than before I came in. After a while, Leo gritted his teeth. 3 hours late. All your salary for today is deducted. 14. Time flew by. Soon it was the day of the class reunion. Early in the morning, people in the group were me. They were asking if I was really going. I replied with the word going and quickly went offline. Since the kiss at the mall last time, I thought it was over. But for several days in a row, Leo lived at the repair shop. Sometimes I couldn't see him during the day. Even when I saw him, his attitude towards me was neither cold nor warm. He probably didn't want to go anymore. When I arrived at the repair shop, I didn't see him anywhere. I went to ask Fatty. Sister Xiao Yu came just now. She said there was something at home. Brother Lei went to help. I don't know when he will be back. Sister Wen, do you need him for something? Otherwise, I'll give you Sister Zhuo's home address. No need. I waited from day to night. I didn't see Leo come back. As the time was getting closer and closer, the classmates who had already arrived were chatting lively in the group and kept urging me. Honestly, I felt very uncomfortable. If you didn't want to go in the first place, why did you promise me? Just then, Peter also sent a message. I heard about you having a boyfriend. Are you still angry? Don't be afraid. I'm here. I'll wait for you. I was too lazy to reply. I hailed a taxi and went over. When I entered, I looked at my phone. It was quiet. There was no message from Leo. I suppressed the disappointment in my heart and pushed the door open and entered. The box was in chaos. As soon as I entered, it instantly became quiet. A group of people stared at me intently. Yi Chu, we thought you weren't coming. Oh, didn't you say you had a boyfriend? Why didn't your boyfriend come with you? Fake boyfriend, right? Maybe you found someone on the street to pretend. Enough. Peter stood up from the crowd. Yvonne, come to my side. I saw Tina beside him, nervously holding a wine glass and looking at me. I heard that you two are getting engaged. Congratulations. During these days, although I didn't reply to the messages in the group, I couldn't stop those people who wanted to see my joke. They told me every detail about Peter and Tina's affairs. Peter and Tina were together. Peter and Tina got into the same university. Peter and Tina were going to get engaged. As for me, a poor wretch whose family went bankrupt, was abandoned by her mother, betrayed by friends, and had nowhere to go. Yvonne, Tina's eyes were red. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. If you want, you and Dake I can still be like before. I can stay away. There's no need. I'm not interested in picking up trash. After saying that, I wanted to leave but was grabbed by Peter's wrist. His face was full of pain and disappointment. Why have you become like this? I have already explained to you about me and Tina. It wasn't on purpose. We have always been considerate of your feelings. Yvonne, if you are unfortunate, can't you blame others? My greatest misfortune is knowing you. Peter was stunned. A flash of panic crossed his face. Yvonne, I didn't mean that. Listen to me explain. Can you let go of my girlfriend? 15 I didn't expect Leo to come. He held my hand. His expression was gentle. Why didn't you wait for me? Yes. Is it you? Peter recognized him. His face was full of shock. Aren't you the mechanic from back then? How did you two end up together? In sophomore year, Peter's motorcycle broke down. It was Leo who repaired it for him. Why did Yvonne find a mechanic? Such a waste of that face. I thought her boyfriend was so great. Turns out he's just a mechanic. It's so funny. Lie? Brother lie? Among the crowd, a boy squeezed over. His face was full of excitement. You don't know anything. He is the city's top scorer this year. And what's wrong with him being a mechanic? Do you know how amazing he is? In the market. As long as you can find a club or forest store with a better reputation than him. I'll take your surname. Leo is really the city's top scorer. I've seen his photo on the list. I turned my head in surprise. Leo is the city's top scorer? Didn't he drop out? There were too many people. I stood on tiptoe. Leo cooperatively lowered his head and held my waist to cooperate with me. My face was slightly red. I said softly, I can't tell. He's really hiding his abilities. I really thought he was just a delinquent who dropped out of high school after graduating. Leo smiled. I can't let Yvonne lose face. I don't care. Leo was slightly stunned. After that incident at the mall that day, I figured it out. There was nothing to be ashamed of. I repeated it. Even if you are just a mechanic and don't have the identity of the city's top scorer, I don't care. Education can select talents. But it doesn't represent everything. Leo's eyes moved slightly. After a while, he lowered his head and looked at me. After the party is over, I have something to tell you. I also have something to ask you. A party that was supposed to make fun of me completely changed. I felt bored and was eager to confirm some answers. I went to the bathroom and planned to leave. When I went out, Tina was waiting for me outside. I really had nothing to say to her. I was also impatient with her crying. I pretended not to see her but was grabbed by the hem of my clothes. Yvonne, I really like Peter. But I never thought of snatching him from you. I know I can't compare to you and I don't deserve him. There are no outsiders here. Stop pretending to be pitiful. I really didn't. When I was recognized by the Shu family and brought back from the countryside, I didn't understand anything. I was bullied in class. It was you who protected me. It was also you who brought me into that circle. I always remember. The engagement was decided by both families. I have no way. Just consider me blind. Please also keep an eye on Peter. Don't bother me again. When you came over, Peter went to find Leo. Right now, they should be at the door. I strode out. I didn't see Peter. Only Leo was leaning against the wall and smoking alone. Compared to his composure in the box just now, there was a bit of dejection and depression on his face at this moment. When he saw me coming, he stubbed out his cigarette. Let's go. I didn't move. You said just now that you have something to tell me. What is it? Nothing. But I have something to tell you. My heart was beating faster and faster. Fatty said you went to Rainy's house during the day. I thought you wouldn't come. Why did you come again? Leo smiled and said casually, why else? I can't stand up my employee. Right? My heart sank to the bottom. According to the atmosphere just now, it shouldn't be such a conversation. I don't believe it. Do you like? Does it matter? Leo's eyes were cold with a hint of mockery. Or does Yvonne not hate me anymore and want to have something happen with me? 16 I had a cold war with Leo. Whenever I thought of his sharp eyes that seemed to be able to see through people's hearts that night and his straightforward words that made people know where to hide, I felt suffocated. I skipped work for 3 days. Leo had no reaction at all. He didn't even come back. In the middle, Tina sent me a message. I asked Peter. He should have said some very harsh things to Leo. But I didn't ask what. Yvonne, Peter has you in his heart. Do you want to explain your relationship with Leo to him properly? At the same time, Fatty also called me. Sister Wen, come quickly. Eli is going to burn his admission letter. I jumped up in a startle and rushed to the repair shop. Sister Wen, Brother Lai is the only college student among us. You must persuade him. Got it. I kicked open the door of the lounge. I thought it was locked from the inside. Actually, it wasn't. The door swayed and creaked. It fell to the ground and was broken. When our eyes met, there was a moment of silence in the air. Leo put the things in his hand into the drawer. Looking closely, there were still some blackened edges from being burned. He raised his eyebrows. Who made you angry? Leo. You are a coward. A coward. I don't know why you don't want to go to college. But I know that any sober and rational adult wouldn't joke about their future. Who are you showing your gloomy face to every day? Is being sentimental and melancholic so fun? Why are you burning your admission letter? You should bury your admission letter. In ancient times, Lindai you buried flowers. Now you, Leo, bury your admission letter. How prestigious it would be to say it. You don't even care about a top university. Yvonne. Leo pulled me over and pressed me on the table. Have I been too indulgent to you these days? Do you really think I don't dare to do anything to you? What then? Another forced kiss? Do you think only you can do it? My heart was beating so fast that it was about to jump out of my throat. No matter what the outcome, I accepted it. I closed my eyes and kissed him recklessly. It was a very gentle touch. Cool. I waited nervously for a while. Leo didn't push me away. I tentatively kissed him again. But I really didn't know how. And I was disorganized. The other person was like a log. Just when I was discouraged and wanted to give up, the back of my head was held. He deepened the kiss little by little. In the end, it was completely lost. It took a long time for Leo to let me go. There was still unquenched desire in his eyes. Those eyes were on fire. They were tinged with magnificent colors and became very captivating. Call him and break up. A phone was stuffed into my palm. I blinked and found it funny. So, what role are you taking on? A male mistress. Looking for a beating? I didn't dare to do it again. I really couldn't handle it. I was never with him. 17 I am with Leo. Leo said that he hesitated about going to college. But he didn't really want to burn the admission letter. It was a slip of the hand. The lighter fell down. Why don't you want to go to college? This shop was opened by my dad after he resigned. Business was very good. Unfortunately, on the day of my college entrance examination, he passed away. My breathing stopped for a moment. That day, we had an argument. I didn't go home and stayed outside with Fatty. When I finished the exam and came out, what I received was a call from the hospital. The nurse said that when he was on his deathbed, he kept calling me. But I was angry and didn't answer. By the time I rushed to the hospital, it was too late. I understand. He has been blaming himself, right? Blaming himself for not answering that call. Even getting into the best university couldn't bring him a bit of happiness. Your repair skills were taught by your dad. So, you want to guard the shop? Leo smiled. Fatty is very reliable. I can trust him with it. I felt a little heartbroken. I met Uncle Shi before. He mentioned you to me. Leo was a little surprised. He said I was disobedient. Right? I shook my head. He said you were very smart and love learning. He also said that it was because he didn't work hard enough that you had to endure hardships with him at a very young age. Leo's eyes were red. What kind of hardship is that? So, only when you are well will Uncle Shi be at ease. He should be at ease. After all, now he has a daughter-in-law. But is Yvonne comforting me? Isn't it obvious? Leo smiled and held me on his lap. But I want another kind of comfort. 18 I didn't expect there to be such a big difference between Leo before and after falling in love. In front of people, he still looks like a cool guy. But in private, he is extremely flirtatious. I even suspected that he had watched pornographic movies behind my back. After being with him, I became bolder, and was also full of curiosity about his room. Looking around here and there. Finally, my gaze stopped on a bracelet. Leo just came out of the shower and hugged me from behind. Does it look familiar? It's the one I accidentally lost in sophomore year. How did it end up with you? Missy forgot. When you gave me money as a reward, you accidentally gave me the bracelet along with it. Logically speaking, for such a small thing that happened so long ago, I wouldn't remember it. But Leo is special. I remember that Leo repaired Peter's motorcycle. When I paid, Leo refused to accept it. But I thought he should take it. When I secretly slipped money to him, I accidentally left the bracelet with him. Don't be ungrateful. What kind of reward is that? It sounds so bad. By the way, I asked curiously, did you hate me since then? I don't hate you. Leo lifted me onto the table and kissed my lips. How could anyone hate a young lady? They can't wait to like you. I was shocked and pushed him away. Don't talk nonsense. I'm not talking nonsense. That night, I dreamed about you. I dreamed about you and me. My face was completely red. You. Leo took off his t-shirt, pulled out the belt around his waist, and handed it to me. His dark eyes were full of lust. So, do you want to try? The night was deep. I felt my heart beating like a drum, mixed with Leo's heavy and hot breathing beside my ear. Relax. It will be very enjoyable. My face was completely red. I don't know how long it took. Leo broke free from the restraint on his wrists and leaned over to pick me up and put me on the bed. I held his neck and endured his kiss unsteadily, feeling the roughness on his fingers, until clusters of fireworks exploded not far outside the window. 19 When Rainy found me, I had just gotten up. Leo was really too exhausting. For several days in a row, I didn't go to the repair shop. At first, I still had some concerns. I yawned and struggled to get up. As soon as we got together, I skipped work. Fatty and them can guess what we did last night, just by using their toes. Leo glanced at me and smiled. Do you think they can't tell if you go like this? Really? I lay back down straight. I simply gave up. Then I'll sleep a little longer. At this moment, I was wearing Leo's coat in a mess. I sleepily opened the door. He was afraid that I would sleep all the time and not eat. So he would order takeout for me at about the right time. When the door opened, it wasn't takeout. It was Rainy. Her already ugly face became even paler after seeing me. You too. Don't. This one sentence woke me up completely. I impatiently stared at her. Did I steal someone else's boyfriend or sleep with someone else's boyfriend? I can't bear the word shameless. Please leave. You. Rainy seemed to have not expected my attitude to be so bad. She was speechless for a long time. When I was about to close the door, she hurriedly said, "Do you know that Eli is with you to get revenge on you?" I paused. Eli and you have known each other for a long time, right? He repaired your ex-boyfriend's car. Then you should also know that your ex-boyfriend's friends gave him trouble. Because of you. He lost a big deal and lost a lot of money. I had no idea at all. Leo had never told me. But I vaguely remembered that one afternoon in sophomore year, I was doing homework at Peter's house. Peter's friends came. As soon as they entered, they said proudly, "Akai, do you remember that arrogant poor kid who repaired your car last time? We taught him a lesson. Now he is so miserable." But after seeing Peter's eyes, they tacitly fell silent. At that time, I was worrying about the last big problem on the math test paper. No matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't solve it. I didn't think much about it. Subconsciously, I thought Peter was asking them not to disturb me. Now it seems that it wasn't. You also said it was Peter's friends, not me. How can you be so thick-skinned? It's also because of you. In the end, it's also between me and Leo. He's not angry. What does it have to do with you? So, did you encourage him to leave the repair shop and go to college? Ronnie. I had no good feelings for this girl at all. Do you think Leo will change his original intention because of a word from me? He never gave up in the first place. How can you say I encouraged him? As for you, you stay in this small place all your life. You are muddle-headed and don't strive for progress. You just want to pull Leo and trap him here like you. You are worried that after he goes to college, he will look down on you even more. The distance between you two is getting farther and farther. To be honest, this is not loving him. Rainy was stunned for a very long time. There were many expressions on her face. I knew she had listened. Just as I was about to close the door, she smiled. So what if you are with Leo? You have no idea about my position in his heart. Do you believe that with just one call from me now, he can immediately leave you and come to me? 20 I should trust Leo. But there is really a special bond between Leo and Rainy. The people at the repair shop know it. I also know it. I never asked. But it doesn't mean I don't care deep down. Ronnie made a call in front of me. It took a long time for the other side to answer. Sister Zhao Yu. What's up? A lie. It seems that there is a thief in my house. Can you come and take a look? The other side was silent for a while. I'll be there soon. After hanging up the phone, Roddy looked at me provocatively. Seeing that I was holding my phone, she grabbed it and dialed Leo's number. Leo answered immediately. Are you awake? The deep and gentle voice came. I came to my senses. I miss you a little. Can you come back now? I have something on hand. I'll come back as soon as I'm done. Wait for me. My heart kept sinking. I knew what he was busy with. Ronnie also knew. Not being my boyfriend's first choice and in front of my rival, I felt an indescribable soreness in my heart. As friends, it's right for him to help when a friend is in trouble. But I was really uncomfortable. Can't you ask someone else to go? Can't you call the police? Do you have to go in person? Rainey's expression couldn't be described as just proud. Yvonne. Wait slowly. Maybe I won't come back so soon today. We are friends. He helps me. I invite him to a meal. Yvonne shouldn't mind. Right? I mind. I suddenly looked behind Rainey. The person who said he was busy on the phone actually appeared. He should have run back. His breathing was a little short. Rainey froze on the spot. A lie. Leo frowned and walked past her directly. Seeing that I didn't have shoes on, he took a pair of slippers from the shoe rack at the door and knelt down in front of me to put them on for me. Why did you run out without even wearing shoes? I stared at him blankly. A lie. I can explain. Sister Rainey. I think I should have made it very clear last time. I have someone I like. I also hope you find someone you like. As for your matter, Fatty will help you. So, just because you have a girlfriend, you have to avoid suspicion with me? Sister Rainey is wrong. Before I had a girlfriend, I was also quite avoiding suspicion with you. I am grateful for the fact that when my dad had a heart attack, you called 120 and sent him to the hospital. If you have something, Fatty and I will help. But that's all. Leo, you clearly know that I like you. What's so good about her? She humiliated you so much before. Just consider me cheap. I only like Yvonne. I liked her before, if I still like her now. What about Cola that we raised together? Cola was bought for you by Fatty with his money. Ronnie's emotions completely collapsed. She covered her face and ran away. 21 for a long time. I didn't see Rainey again. I only learned from Fatty that she found a rich boyfriend. Cola was also sold by her and bought back by Fatty. It was raised at the repair shop. Time passed quickly. Soon it was the start of school. The schools of me and Leo were only separated by one street. But school was so busy that for more than half a month, we didn't see each other. Moreover, there were also many part-time jobs in college. Although Leo gave me money, I always felt that it wasn't a good idea to always use his money. As long as I was free and there was a part-time job, I would go. The next time we met was on Leo's birthday. In the small group of the repair shop, Fatty and the others had already me. After class, I didn't go for a part-time job. I went back to the dormitory, took a gift and hurried back. Who knew that I was stopped by Peter at the school gate? I broke up with Tina. I'm preparing to go abroad. Just 5 years. Yvonne. Wait for me for 5 years. After 5 years, I'll marry you when I come back. I think he's crazy. I don't even want to pay attention to him, and just leave. But unexpectedly, he suddenly goes crazy and reaches out to hug me. Yvonne. Except for the time you saw last time when I kissed her, I haven't touched her again. Really? If you don't believe me, ask Tina. Just then, I was pulled away by a strong force. It was Tina. With red eyes. She slapped Peter hard. Do I need to remind you? You just came out of the hotel with me this morning. Peter's face changed greatly and he pushed Tina away. What are you talking nonsense? Tina staggered a few steps. If I hadn't supported her, she would have fallen to the ground. I'm fine. Tina wiped her tears. On one hand, you can't bear your primitive desire and sleep with me. On the other hand, you want to deceive Yvonne. Peter, how could I have been so blind to fall for someone like you? Shut up. The one who should shut up is you. I stood in front of Tina. Peter, there are surveillance cameras here. If you take one more step forward, I will call the police and accuse you of harassing me. Your parents probably don't want to see you cause any trouble before going abroad. Peter didn't come forward after all. After he left, I took out a pack of tissues from my bag and handed it to Tina. Wipe it. Sorry. Yvonne. I'm really sorry about Peter's matter. I don't care about him anymore. But you. Aren't you usually very smart? Are you willing to be slept with by him for nothing? No. Tina said in a low voice. He was drunk. Nothing happened. I just want to use this to deceive my parents and get shares in the family. I can't help but look at her twice. The little sheep has grown into a tiger. I also consulted a lawyer privately. Yvonne, your father's matter is not too serious. If he behaves well inside, he can come out early. After saying that, she put a business card in my palm. Pei Yan, Peter's uncle who has been abroad all the time? Do you know him? Tina's face turned a little red. He studied law. If you need it, you can directly find him. I've told him. As soon as she finished speaking, a Bentley slowly stopped by the roadside. Tina took a look and was a little flustered. I should go. Goodbye. 22. I stood still, staring at the Bentley driving away. The image of the man who got out of the car just now with glasses on kept appearing in my mind. The man is aloof and restrained, obviously older than us. But he is very special to Tina. Good looking? I nodded. This uncle of the Pei family is quite handsome. As soon as I finished speaking and turned my head abruptly, Leo came at some point. His face was unkind. I coughed twice and held his arm. Why are you even jealous of this? He is Tina's new boyfriend. Yvonne, how long has it been since we saw each other? Do you still remember what day it is today? Remember. Leo actually doesn't quite approve of me doing part-time jobs in college. First, he thinks it's a waste of time and unnecessary. Second, he thinks that since we are together, his money is mine. There is no need for me to be so clear-cut with him. But I think it's one thing at a time. For this reason, we have had many arguments. But even so, he respects my choice and has never interfered. I didn't even go for a part-time job this time. Let's go. Fatty and them must be waiting. The place is not far away, just near the school. Fatty and a group of people have already arrived. There are also Leo's roommates, and some friends he knows. The atmosphere was very good all night. The whole birthday party didn't end until 3 in the morning. Everyone left one after another. When I came back after seeing everyone off and pushed the door open, Leo was leaning lazily on the sofa. He drank a lot tonight, and was a little drunk. There was a tinge of flush in his dark eyes. Leo? I called him softly. Do you want some hot water? Leo turned his head to look at me. Suddenly, he cupped my chin and kissed me. It was a long time before he let me go. Fatty is getting married. I remembered the shy and lovely girl Fatty brought today. That's a good thing. Leo gave me a sideways glance. He asked me if you have changed your mind. Otherwise, why am I always alone when I go back to the repair shop every time? Yvonne, have you regretted it? In fact, you don't love me as much as you thought. I kissed him. What are you talking nonsense? I'm just busy with part-time jobs. I've been using your money. I feel uneasy. Why didn't I see you feel uneasy before? Before, you weren't my boyfriend. Of course I don't feel sorry. Moreover, I've been spending your money. I always feel like I'm being kept by you. Leo was silent for 2 seconds. He picked me up and put me on his lap. His hand reached in from under my shirt. I couldn't breathe smoothly because of his kisses and reached out to push him. Just kiss. Don't touch you here. It was so long that I almost broke down. Leo took my hand and moved it down. There was a burning heat in his eyes and his breathing was also scorching hot. Do you feel it? Young lady. I am all yours. At least don't be so clear-cut with me. Don't be so polite. Enjoy it to your heart's content. That night, I was almost exhausted. I was also forced by Leo to say many embarrassing words. Later, I gave up and put my arms around his neck and pitifully begged for mercy. I'll lie. When I reach the legal age. Let's go get the certificate. Okay? At that moment, the clouds dispersed and the rain stopped. I finally came back to life. When I was carried out of the bathroom and was half asleep, I heard Leo make a phone call. The person on the other end was vaguely Fatty. Fatty was probably woken up and was in a bad mood. Brother Lai. You are so happy. Can you think about us working dogs? It's nothing. Just to notify you. My Yvonne said she wants to get the certificate with me. The other party cursed. Control yourself. There are still several years before Sister Wen reaches the legal age for getting the certificate. Leo said, "Oh, I forgot. My sister-in-law almost kicked you and ran away with someone else." End of main text. Extra chapter 1. In sophomore year, Leo took on an order. Actually, it wasn't his. Coincidentally that day, he went to deliver medicine to his father who was at the Wen family's place. Just then, his father was on the phone with Yvonne. His father's phone was old and had been in use for a long time. The sound leakage was very serious. He heard the other party's clear yet polite voice. "Uncle Shi. My friend's motorcycle is broken. It needs to be used tomorrow morning. I can't find anyone at such a late hour. Are you free now? Can you help us repair it?" "No problem. Young lady. Give me the address and I'll take a taxi there." "Thank you, Uncle Shi." After hanging up the phone, Leo frowned and handed the medicine over. His voice was cold. "Your heart is not good. Go to sleep early. There is enough money at home. There is no need to work so hard. It's okay. It will be done soon. That little girl is very nice. She is also respectful to me. She will greet me every time she sees me." Leo didn't comment. That's because she has good upbringing. You don't understand. He didn't want to understand either. "I'll go. Don't trouble yourself." "Father," she thought for a while and agreed. "Repair it well. By the way, if Miss Wen gives you money, don't take it. The Wen family has given enough wages." When Leo arrived at the club, there was a large group of people. Men and women. Yvonne was extremely conspicuous among the group. She didn't wear messy makeup or exaggerated and outrageous clothes. A lake blue dress outlined her slender figure. She was like a little princess. "Where is the car?" Yvonne stared at Leo for a moment. "Are you Uncle Shi's son?" Leo was already sleepy and had no patience. His attitude was also cold. "The car. Where is it?" Yvonne frowned and looked at him suspiciously. "Where is Uncle Shi? Why didn't he come? Can you repair cars?" As soon as she finished speaking, those young masters from the club also saw him. They were usually arrogant, and didn't know what respect was. Anyway, others always flattered them. So they spoke impolitely. "Hey, can you repair it? Brother Pei's car is several million yuan. If you break it, you can't afford to pay even if you lose everything." Leo was young, and full of vigor. His expression was indifferent but his tone was arrogant. "No one can repair it except me." Extra chapter to this was the truth. He had worked on too many cars. Just by looking at it, he could roughly know what was wrong. But only he knew. Even the proud Yvonne in front of him didn't believe him. She even looked him up and down. She thought she had concealed it well. But how could Leo not understand the sympathy in her eyes? Faded jeans. Scuffed shoes. A teenager was never self-abased. But at this moment, he tasted all kinds of feelings. "This car is very expensive. If you really can't repair it, don't be brave. You won't be able to afford it then." Whether it was a reminder or something else, Leo didn't need it. Almost immediately after the girl's words, Leo threw away the wrench he had just picked up. With a bang, it scared the girl in front of him. He stared at her with a half smile. There was wildness in his eyes. He also remembered the shy love in the girl's eyes when she looked at one of the boys when he came in. Suddenly, his heart felt blocked. "Don't worry. If I break your boyfriend's car, I'll pay for it." Yvonne didn't speak anymore. It seemed that she was really afraid that he would break it. She stared at him intently. She had a very pleasant, elegant fragrance on her body. Like gardenias. She was so beautiful. Her eyes were too pure and clear. She was different from him. She was as clean as a fairy who didn't eat the fireworks of the world. But he was struggling at the bottom of society. He felt inexplicably irritable. "Young lady. Move aside. You are in my way of repairing the car." 2 hours later, the car was repaired. There was a bit more admiration in Yvonne's eyes. But before she could speak, Peter came over. Everyone knew the young master of the Pei family. Akai. He really repaired it. Peter handed over a stack of money. Leo didn't take it. It has been paid. Peter didn't insist either, and went to test the car with his friends excitedly. He saw the light in Yvonne's eyes dim for a moment. But in the next moment, she reached out, and there was still a stack of money. Your wages. Leo thought this girl couldn't understand what he said. Just as he was about to speak, he met her slightly cautious and hesitant gaze and understood everything. So, she knew the hardships of life. She saw that he needed money. The restlessness in his heart became even more obvious. He didn't reply and just turned and left. Wait. The girl chased after him. He stopped. Unexpectedly. She bumped into his back. Her nose was red and her eyes were also red. She looked extremely pitiful. Leo was softened in the end. What's the matter? The girl shook her head. A glint of slyness flashed in her eyes. Nothing. Nothing. He didn't want to delve into it either. Only when he left, he caught a glimpse of Peter, who was completely focused on the car and completely ignored Yvonne. He sneered. Such a good girl. It's a pity that her eyesight is not good. Extra Chapter 3. But Leo didn't leave in the end. Someone in the club lost a necklace. It was very expensive. He was the only outsider who came to the club. Naturally, he was suspected. How incidentally, the camera was broken. Everyone unanimously decided to search him. It was also Yvonne who was the first to object. There is no evidence. It's not good to search someone without a reason. Moreover, I was with him the whole time when he was repairing the car. He didn't go anywhere else. I can prove it. He didn't take it. Peter, control the person you brought. Whose side is she on? Yvonne. Didn't you go pour water just now? What if? Besides, it's just a body search. It's nothing. Figuring it out is good for us and for him. After saying that, he looked at Leo. What do you think? Leo was really fed up with these people. He directly took off his coat and threw it on the ground. See clearly. Is there anything? But a stack of money fell out of the coat pocket. Oh, so you didn't steal the necklace but took the money. In that case, why did you pretend to be noble when a guy gave it to you just now? Wouldn't it be better to just take it? Leo remembered the slyness in the girl's eyes when he left. Obviously, she had secretly stuffed it. Naturally, she didn't have bad intentions. So, he said nothing, picked up his coat and the money, put the latter on the table, and left without a word. That money was stuffed in by me. Yvonne. Don't speak up for this kind of person anymore. Not Yvonne. I said what's wrong with you today. You are protecting this poor kid everywhere. This kind of person, being poor for a long time, can do anything. They won't shed tears until they see the coffin. Just call the police directly. Peter, I already said it was stuffed in by me. This is what he deserves for his labor. If it weren't for him, your car would be a pile of scrap metal now. Why do you mock him? All right. All of you shut up. Yvonne, I didn't mean that. Do you want to call the police? If not, I'll leave. According to Leo's temperament, this matter is not over. But there is Yvonne. Subconsciously, he doesn't want to involve her and make a big deal out of it. Hey. Wait. Extra chapter for Yvonne chased after him. Leo walked very fast. She had a hard time catching up. When she stopped, she was constantly panting. I'm sorry. Peter didn't mean that. I apologize to you on his behalf. And this money, you keep it. It's yours originally. He didn't know what it felt like. He just felt that her eyesight was really bad. At a glance, he could see that Peter and those second-generation rich kids around him were no different. It was just that he had a smooth tongue. But she couldn't see anything at all. And she even presumptuously apologized to him on his behalf. Who cared about her apology? He didn't know what he was angry about. His words were also excessive. What trick does Yvonne have? Or is it fun to tease us poor people in your eyes? Or does Yvonne have a crush on me and want to have something happen with me? The girl's face instantly turned red. She was very angry. Only then did he know that the seemingly polite and always proper little fairy had thorns all over. She looked down at you arrogantly. That look was like looking at a dog. The words she said were also very insulting. You. What are you? Even if you kneel down and beg me. I don't want to have any relationship with a hooligan like you. From then on, the two of them had a feud.